planning board meeting. Call the meeting to order. Sorry, let's do that one more time since I didn't have my speaker on. So welcome everyone to our planning board meeting for Monday, November 21st. We'll call the order, and just before we actually get into declarations of conflicts, I would like Alex, if he may, to introduce a new member of our planning team. Alex, you can have the floor.
So look, I'm here this evening with Brandon Archibald, who just started
Welcome, Brandon.
a week ago. So if you see him around, you can say hi. You'll be more welcome here. We're glad to have him. Like to keep him. But anyway, just again, if you get an opportunity, say hi to him, and thought we'd introduce him for this evening. Thank you.
Good. Welcome aboard, Brandon. Okay, declarations of conflict of interest. See none, thank you. Approval of the agenda, so I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Yankoff. All those in favor? That would be all, thank you. Adoption of the minutes of the planning board meeting Tuesday, November the 8th. So, moved by resident member Bob Kenny, seconded by Mr. Paul Connolly. All those in favor? Good, thank you very much. Any business arising from the minutes? No? Okay, that's great. We'll get right into our reports. 6A is rezoning, 210 Malpeck Road, PID number 388298. And Robert, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll make this brief. I believe members of the board have already seen this when we made the request to proceed to public hearing. And some of you were at the public consultation. There was no objection, support, or any feedback received from the application, and that was both for the public hearing and for the letters when we circulated them to surrounding property owners. So basically, just to kind of give a brief version of what the applicant is proposing to do, he's looking at amending the official plan from comprehensive planning a holding zone to light industrial. And that's in order to continue on a zone that reflects the parcel outlined in red is what he's proposing to subdivide, which is the existing drilling business. That is also going to be the site that is under looking to change the zone to industrial and the designation to industrial as well. So essentially, he's just looking at completing this so that he can construct a larger accessory building for storage for the drilling business itself. There's been no concerns, no objections, no feedback received. Planning staff would recommend this to go through. In our summation, it's an existing industrial use. It makes sense to rezone and designate it to not hamper the property owner. Until a comprehensive plan comes into place to show how that entire parcel would be developed itself. It still maintains the minimum acreage required to maintain that zone designation. This is what he's proposing. The building here in the southwest corner of the site is the proposed accessory building that he's seeking to construct if the official plan designation and zone were to be approved. And no feedback. plan is come in for the entire parcel. But that is would be down into the future, and he has no immediate plans for any development of that residual parcel. Just looking at continuing his business, his existing drilling business as it is. And with that, I can take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. Yeah, any questions or comments for Robert?
Mr. Chair, I didn't ask this question at the public meeting, Robert, but if I look at the Google Maps, all the land around there, it's CDA, correct?
That's
so
correct.
everything that's between Atlantic Cat and Moore's Well drilling, that's CDA, and everything east is CDA.
That's
Correct?
That's correct. Directly east and then directly to the west and south to the north, those vacant lands basically were kind of like
Yet to be developed.
they have to be developed, but the zoning bylaw requires that a comprehensive plan is submitted showing
Yeah.
that how the entire parcel would be developed. So the parcel or the residual parcel that he's looking at would remain vacant and would retain the zone and designation until a plan is put in place.
Thank you.
Anybody else? One question that I have on that picture there, right there. As we see, we're going to lose a few trees there, I believe. It's hard to tell. Some of that might be shadow, but if you notice, the rest of the property all has a buffer of trees. I'm just wondering, any need to ask for a buffer along that backside of his property?
Not at this time, since those lands are CDA. There is no actual plan to have those developed, and we have not received any applications for the development of such lands. Saying that, chances are that given the proximity to other zones within that immediate area, being industrial in nature, probably would be safe to say that those lands would probably be developed in a similar fashion, industrial as well. So when you look at the landscape buffer requirement, that's really in place to try to buffer not uncompatible uses, but like commercial from residential, say, or multi-residential from low-density residential. So at this time, I don't believe there's potentially a need to have any type of landscape buffer itself. And I do believe, talking to John, the property owner, he said that they actually lost quite a few trees during the hurricane on the subject site that's highlighted in red.
Good. Okay, thank you very much, but could also be a reason why to plant more. But anyway, okay, thank you very much, Robert. So I guess I'll be looking for either some type of motion here. What the staff is asking us to do is to recommend the redesignation and the rezoning to be approved. So moved by Councillor Yankoff, seconded by Councillor McCabe, or did you want to speak, Councillor? No? Good. Okay, so we do have a motion, and it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, that includes everybody. Okay, thank you very much, folks. Thanks, Robert. All right, then we go on to number 2, which is 550 University Avenue, PID number 387902, and the proposed School of Medicine at UPI. Laura.
Hi, everybody. This was before the board last month, and the board voted for the application to proceed to public consultation. It's for an approval of a development concept plan in the CDA zone. The public meeting was held on November 21st, I believe. And anyways, there were very few comments at the public meeting from the public. We did also send out a letter, and there were no responses to the letter, either in support or in opposition. At the public meeting, there were some comments from council, basically some questions on future expansion of the building. Would there be active transportation on campus? Where would the trails connect that would be on the site plan on campus to existing city streets? And there was also questions about climate, if the building would be built to climate change standards, and would the building achieve net zero emissions? There was also questions from council about pickup and drop-off areas for transit on campus. So, the building, it's proposed to be approximately 261 square feet in area and 5 stories in height from grade to top of roof at the highest point. Here's a diagram of the building. There's other portions on campus that's zoned institutional, and they have a maximum height of requirement of 12 meters in the institutional zone. It should be noted, though, that the CDA zone does not have a height requirement, as building height and setbacks are based on concept plan approvals, and they're approved by way of a development agreement. So a variance wasn't required for the height of the building. So questions arose at the public meeting regarding the possibility of constructing the building to net zero standards. UPEI did not commit that the building would be built to these standards, but they did suggest that they would review the request. And they did indicate that during the design stage, there's ongoing reviews and studies that they're doing in building design to make the building as efficient as possible. Staff would also note that storm water management should be looked at during the design stage and during building permit approval to make sure that stormwater runoff is managed and that it doesn't cause any effect to the wetland that's adjacent to the site. There's also 127 parking spaces that are located on the site plan. And at this time, it is hard for us to do a final calculation on parking, but once we get actual building plans in, we will confirm the amount of parking that's required, and that will be incorporated into the development agreement. This proposed site plan, it only encompasses phase 1 of this development. So phase 1 of the development is the School of Medicine. The site plan is divided into 2 sections. So the School of Medicine, and then the remaining part would be phase 2. At this time, the approval is only for the School of Medicine, and then in the future, when they have more concrete plans of what they plan to locate on site, they will move forward with more concept plans. So at this point in time, we are looking to approve the working drawings for the School of Medicine. I'm just going to flip through these concept plans. These were shown at the public meeting, and these are the actual concept plans that will be bound to the development agreement. So if there were any changes that were really different from these plans, we would require to go back to public consultation. But in essence, if the plans are basically what they've presented at the public consultation, then this is what is bound to the development agreement, and they will just move forward with building permit approval. So we've examined the official plan, and there's various sections in the official plan that support this application, and I've included them in the report. The CDA future land use designation in the official plan specifically talks about UPEI and educational opportunities. So we do feel that this is in line with the official plan and that the official plan supports this application, and we are recommending for approval. And if there's any questions, I can attempt to answer them.
Thank you very much, Laurel. Great report and a great project. Any questions at this time? Councillor McCabe.
I'm just looking more for clarification. Laurel, did you say that there will be, a part of the development agreement will be to ensure that the wetlands are protected? There will be some work done to ensure that that happens, would be my first question.
Yes, so we'll, the department will work with the Department of Environment with the province. So when we get building plans in, we'll send them to the Department of Environment for confirmation. They've already been working with UPEI on the site plan and the watershed. And UPEI is also working with an arborist to make sure that any trees that are removed are okay to remove, and they're trying to retain as many trees as possible on site. So between the Department of Environment and the arborist, we'll be looking to do what we can to ensure that the wetland isn't compromised, like we would with any development.
Absolutely, and I
adjacent to a
guess the
wetland.
second part to that is I know we can't say it has to be net zero, but I would hope as a university academic institution with the new sustainable design engineering building, that would probably be part of their goal as an institution for knowing, they have the climate change school, they have all the things they've committed to, that would be just something that would be automatic moving forward, so.
Thank you very much, Councilor McCabe. The net zero certainly is the way of the future, but I do concur with you that the watershed area there is to be protected for sure, and I think, does that become part of the development agreement as well?
Yes, well, we would build comments into the development agreement on
Right.
the wetlands and watershed and protection and
okay.
mitigation. We just actually worked on another project that was adjacent to a wetland, and we
Yeah.
did the same thing. So
Okay.
it's our department working with Department of
Yeah.
Environment. Essentially, it's the Department of Environment's
Right.
regulations, and they have to enforce them. But we would just make sure that
From our
they're
end.
on site and that they've seen the plans and
Yeah.
that it's complying to their regulations.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And I mean, as long as it just mentions that, that a development agreement in there somewhere that, an agreement with Department of Environment has to be struck. I mean,
Yes, I
just for
agree, yeah.
for our own purposes, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments, concerns, questions? By the looks of it, I think we're all in agreement. This is a great project and.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
it was
sorry, Mr.
one of the comments that I brought up last week, Laurel. And as Councillor McCabe said, there is the Institute of Climatology, or Institute of Climate Change that's out in St. Peters, but connected to the university. Then you have the Sustainable Engineering Development Program. The university is a big part of this community, and as a former graduate, I'm very pleased that we're going ahead with the School of Medicine, because this is only the first phase of other phases that will follow. Sort of replicates what happened with the Atlantic Veterinary School or the Atlantic Veterinary College. It started and evolved into what it is today, a world-class facility. So we have an opportunity to, again, look at all our projects, especially a big project like this. It's 140,000 square feet, the whole building. 5 stories, 28,000 per floor. It's a huge building. It's going to be used by a lot of people that will engage not only the academic community, but our general community. So I really stress in that point that we have to use those environmental and sustainable lenses and on big projects, little projects. And as the chairs stated, that we have Hermitage Creek, is it Hermitage Creek, that watershed that flows through right down into Ellen's Creek. A lot of environmentally sensitive areas that we have to be conscientious about and very protective. And I think this board, planning board, has a responsibility, not just council, but planning board, design review, all of us. So just like to bring that back to the university, the board of governors, that, we have to take a serious look, a very hard look at putting on those environmental sustainability lenses. I know that we didn't stress this a lot for the new student residents, but I think we have an opportunity to stress the point that we'd like to see something that would be part of the development agreement between the University of Prince Edward Island and the City of Charlottetown. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that this is a great project, fully endorse it, but let's keep those environmental sustainability lenses on. Thanks.
Thank you
So,
very
Your
much.
Worship, oh, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Laura.
Are you requesting that something be built into the development agreement requiring net zero?
That's a negotiable item, yeah. I think that it really, the university is part of the whole climate change, climate resilience movement, and, they can be a lead. They've already taken the lead. They had the institute out there in St. Peter's Bay, or St. Peter's, that we really have to be not forceful, but at least put that on the table to say, are there ways to look at our new the McAlery Accessory Building? That's going to be net zero. So the city's doing its part. I know we have to be leaders along with the university and other private developers. Remember, Laurel, I also said hopefully the university will be adding EV chargers in that 177 parking lot or 127 car parking lot facility. So little steps turn into big steps turn into bigger steps.
My only concern with that is we don't have any regulations in our zoning and development bylaw that would require us to make them build to those standards. I think they've committed at the meeting that they are going to look at it and you know, design to the best they can. Because I think it would also be to their benefit if they can make the building climate change resilient and as energy efficient as possible. But I just don't know if we can actually build that into the agreement and as a requirement, because we don't have the legislation to back it up in our own bylaws.
And Mr. Chair, fully understand that, but I think an objective is that we start moving down this pathway, and I think we'll see that in our official plan that we're going through now, a comprehensive review. Like, we have to take this serious. We can't wait for another Hurricane Fiona 1, 2, 3. Like, it's time to take action, and I believe, and I know, Laurel, and I know the department, along with your manager, agrees that we need those lenses on, and we have to be not only speaking these words, but taking action. So if it's not part of the plan, at least an objective to work towards ensuring that the building is environmentally and sustainability and sustainable for the 20, 30, 40, 50 years to come.
Thank you very much, Councillor McCabe. Is a question, but at first I just wanted to say that you're right. We can't force, but I mean the point made is that we've cleaned up our own backyard. We're putting up net zero buildings, so why can't the funding partners that are involved with this project and the university kind of consider it at least, right? And moving forward, we're setting the stage to say, look, if the city of Charlottetown, you're going to partner with us, we need to have some commitment to the net zero buildings up today. So, but anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for that, and Councillor McCabe.
I think I'm piggybacking on that in that I think we can always encourage and recommend, but until we do open up our official plan, I think what our staff is saying is that there's not any real teeth that they have to do, so it's not like you can put that into our development agreement at this point. But again, we're always encouraging moving forward to be more considerate of that. So I would be willing right now to move the resolution to council that we accept staff's recommendation to approve the requests.
To council, the development concept plan. Okay, and seconded by Bob Kenny. Moved by Councillor McCabe. Sorry, Mr. Connolly.
I just had it's more of an editorial comment than anything. I say editorial because it's really outside of our mandate. We're just being asked from a development point of view.
Right.
But I would like to just go on record, not that it's all that significant, but I'm really concerned about the university, and I think this is it's a wonderful project, but at the same time, I think that it could well be more than what the university is capable of pulling off. I just wanted to make that comment. As I say, it's an editorial comment because it's outside of our mandate. It has nothing to do with the development. But I'd hate to see the university's future jeopardized because they've bitten off a little more than they can chew. And I hope I'm wrong, but in the longer term, we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, I think the university and the funding partners have had the different levels of government have had great discussions on this, and I don't I think they've got it to a spot where they feel pretty comfortable. But I understand it could be a big burden too if it's not done properly and correctly, but it is needed for sure, and it's a great project. Let's just hope. But that's a good point to be said. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, not to criticize Mr. Connolly. I know Mr. Connolly is a graduate of STU, UPEI, so I respect his opinion. But, Paul, I was at UPEI 1980-81 as President of Students' Union, and it was at that time that we had a young veterinarian down from University of Guelph that started this whole concept of AVC going to UPEI because the first choice was the Nova Scotia Agricultural, NSAC, And basically, the argument was that we didn't have enough cows and chickens. Well, you know what? We proved it wrong, because not only did we have enough cows and chickens, but we advanced into other areas, aquaculture and so forth. And AVC is a top-notch veterinarian school, not only in this country, North America, and throughout the world. So those doubts were there then, and I know I have the same feeling, and I have doubts too, you know, feelings that, are we going in the right direction? We are going in the right direction, because we need more doctors, and if we can be a ground or a swell ground or a platform for new doctors to enter into the field. My daughter, a graduate from the Bachelor of Nursing program, one of the best programs in Eastern Canada. We can do the best. We'll do best in any field that we get into, and I think this is the best field to get into at this point in time. But I appreciate no criticism. Just yeah.
I guess we could call it, we'll leave it at it's nervous energy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other comments, concerns? We have a motion on the floor, moved and seconded. No other comments, or we'll ask for the vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. That would be everybody. Thank you very much. We'll move that on to council. Okay. 1 second here, bear with me. So I think the only other thing I guess we have to deal with would be introduction of new business.
I have no business, Mr. Chair.
You do.
I want to thank you on behalf of City Council, and I know the board shares my view. You've worked really hard, very hard over the last 2 years. Alex has stated that. Our CAO has stated that your work has been formidable, very formidable, and not only that, you've always been present. You've allowed board members like myself to express my views more than once, twice, 3 times. But c'est la vie, and I want to thank you on behalf of myself, council, and the citizens of Charlottetown for a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just to say, I enjoyed it immensely, and I probably would rule out you see me back in politics at some point. So we'll leave it at that. I'm enjoying this too much. Okay, no new business outside of that. We'll ask for one more motion, and that's to adjourn. Moved by Councilor McCabe, seconded by Chris Fournier. All those in favor of the motion. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your evening. Drive safe.